Hi, I'm Matthew Glass, personal development coach of Calmer Lifestyles, and today I want to talk about breakups and how we can learn to not only heal, but grow from them. Unfortunately, our social narrative thrives on the idea of heroes and villains, so whenever something goes wrong, even in a relationship, our first instinct is to try to place blame. Now, whether this is directed outward or inward, blame is a harmful process, because either we blame our ex-partners and thereby victimize ourselves, or we blame ourselves and thereby corrode our self-esteem. And because self-esteem is the first step to healthy, happy relationships with others, this behavior can become a destructive cycle, where self-loathing is multiplied by the failed relationships it's almost guaranteed to produce. So what do? We become paralyzed by fear. Paralyzed by the idea that we might repeat the same behavior or worsen the situation we're in. Strangely, forgiving others can often be easier than forgiving ourselves after a messy breakup. This is because we tend to idealize the behavior of others when our own self-esteem is in doubt. Our first step to liberation is in realizing that an individual and their behavior are two separate things. That any characteristic that we might deem as negative is simply an expression of fear or insecurity. Once we view it through this lens of understanding, we're able to pinpoint the source of this behavior, thereby attacking the cause rather than the symptom of ours or someone else's pain. Now, we might have all the time in the world to analyze our own behavior, look through our past and figure out where that behavior manifested, but this isn't always practical with other people, which is why acceptance is key. We must accept that everyone has a path to walk on the journey to self-healing, and while we don't need to walk it alone, no one can walk it for us either. Acceptance is key to moving past any negative experience, because once we accept someone else's journey, what we're really doing is validating our own. We come to realize that we're not alone in our mistakes. We give ourselves permission to be wrong, to be human, and then we start to realize that those mistakes are actually lessons and an opportunity to learn and grow for the future. In his book Rich Dad Poor Dad, Robert Kiyosaki wrote, "You either win or you learn." And while he originally applied that to a financial context, I think it's a universal maxim that we can all benefit from. Whenever we make a mistake, any of us, we have a choice to be imprisoned by judgment or liberated by acceptance. And once we choose the latter, we become grateful for what we realize was just a lesson all along. We still assume responsibility for our actions, but the difference is those actions no longer control us. We control them. And we get to choose which new wisdom we glean from them as well. This mentality can even be extended to the behavior of others. We can't control their actions, but we can control our reactions to them. When recounting his experiences at Auschwitz, psychiatrist Viktor Frankl wrote that between stimulus and response there is a space. And in that space is our power to choose our response. And in our response lies our freedom and our growth. Once we adopt this mentality of self-empowerment and shift to this new paradigm, we are able to realize that any mistakes that were made or are yet to be made are simply opportunities to grow and learn for the future. And rather than removing the fear of failure, we convert failure itself into success. And as a result, we begin to relish and look forward to both. I'm Matthew Glass, personal development coach of Calmer Lifestyles. Thank you for listening.